everybody, it is Blonde Blitz time. Let's go.
He's had, but I still like the Commanders.
I'm also tough.
DeMar Chase.
Done.
I'm looking at that Cincinnati team against the Cleveland Browns.
Well, as soon as I saw the rain last night, I was wondering if that might be a little bit of a factor as well.
Play that week is really going to be more impactful.
With the Raiders, who got Jacoby Myers back.
The same thing with Joe Burrow. You just expect Joe Burrow to do it because he's been to a Super Bowl.
It's time to send in the Blitz with Deb WHITCAS and the Blonde Blitz.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blonde Blitz. I'm your host, Deb WHITCAS. It is our NFL Combine show. We just got back from Indiana a few days ago, and woo, what a whirlwind it was. Both Brian and Todd were with me. I'm going to bring them in now. From the Injured List podcast, Brian Scott is here, as well as Todd Marcel Durham, to talk all about our experience. Guys, come on in.
I'm still waiting for my invite as a special guest on the Blonde Blitz. My agent is waiting for your call, Deb.
Wow. Hello, gentlemen.
I feel honored that she didn't get the invite, but I do. What did I do? This is great.
I feel like we just got off of a plane, right? I feel like I just saw you guys.
Yeah. The last 3 weeks have felt like the last 3 minutes. I don't even know what's happened. It was like a time warp on the calendar.
It's just all football, right? Between Super Bowl, Combine.
I've never been happier. It's like it's my sweet 16th birthday, and it's just raining footballs and dudes talking football and women talking football. It's just the best.
It was super fun. Well, let's discuss a little bit. So we were all in Indy together. There were 318 prospects invited to the Combine. We got to see all of them, and I think we interviewed all of them as well. We got a lot of interviews in there. We saw a lot of on-field drills. Wanted to get everybody's thoughts. Kind of wanted to go through each day with what we did. Oh, we just lost Brian there. Hopefully he will come back. So first day, there he is. Hello. First day, Todd. We flew in on Tuesday. Todd and I literally wheeled my my luggage in the women's forum, and it was go time. Todd, what did you think of that event?
First off, I flew in on Monday night and slept in the Indianapolis airport from 11 p.m. to like 7 a.m. And then we go into this event with Roger Goodell, Jim Harbaugh, general manager of the Browns. I'm blanking on his name for whatever reason. The guy who's the former punter. He's a very famous podcaster. He was hosting this event. The owners of the Colts. It was just like I go from sleeping on the ground to that, and it was just like a star-studded NFL occasion. And I was like, here we are. We're at the NFL Combine with all of these incredibly powerful people in the NFL, and I'm in the same room. This was incredible. Yeah,
and we were at the JW Marriott, one of the ballrooms. It was the, I believe, seventh or ninth annual Women's Forum. Sam Rappaport. Was it 10? Okay.
10 years. Yeah, 10 years of forward progress.
Yep. Oh, you're right. Yes, you're correct. Sam Rappaport put that event on, and basically what it was there's women in college looking to work in front office positions and coaching positions, and they were interviewing, doing roundtables with current NFL women in the league. And it was just such an inspiring event. Roger Goodell had actually invited all of the head coaches to come. Jim Harbaugh showed up, and we also saw Todd, why don't you talk about what we saw on Twitter?
Oh my gosh, we saw Twitter being Twitter is what we saw.
Yes, exactly.
Saw him making an argument for no reason. Roger Goodell personally invites every single head coach. 3 of them show up. Carly Ursay. She is talking with Jim Harbaugh, and then someone on Twitter says that they're arguing with one another because she was chastising him for being at a women's event. And that's just the internet being the internet for you.
Yeah. and they were literally talking, and he was invited, and everybody was glad to see him there, and he was representing, and love him for that. But yeah, no, Twitter was definitely twittering at that point.
Yeah.
I wrote back. I was like, this is not what happened. I was literally sitting there and watching them. So yeah. So then after that women's forum, we did coach interviews, and Brian, were you there for that?
No, Deb. My flight going from Charlotte to Baltimore got delayed, and I had to get rescheduled on a later flight, and so I didn't get out there until almost 5 o'clock, unfortunately. So I was not part of the women's event or a lot of the festivities that were going on that afternoon. I got in a little bit later than I anticipated, unfortunately.
Tom, what was your favorite coach that you interviewed? And why?
Oh, I'm sorry. Favorite coach that exists? Is that what your question?
Because
I got a chance to interview Dan Campbell himself.
You did.
The titan of triceps, the maestro of meat. The guy just exudes football. I've never seen such intensity in my life. I've been around some intense people, and never in my life. The guy walked up to the microphone, and it was like it was his first press conference ever, and a Super Bowl was on the line. It was as if he himself was taking on an entire football team, and it was just reporters. I'm like, bro, you're safe. You could just talk. You don't have to be. It was the most impressive. I was just, you can't be in Dan Campbell's presence without overstating how immense he is as a person. And I had a strategy. I was like, I have to talk to him. And I tried to get there as early as I could. I had my hand up like I was in elementary school, and I got my question in. And I knew that I wanted to make an impression, so I led with the fundraise in NFL markets for the rare disease that the three of us have been collectively working with, and it caught his attention. And I'm thankful that after his podium, we spoke after. He gave me the information for one of his staffers, and I also connected with some other Detroit press. So it was like, I'm still on cloud nine. I can't believe that happened, and I have you to thank, Deb.
You're so welcome. Thank you for coming with me. Also, too, I loved seeing Mike LaFleur up there. Right, he was the OC for the Rams, and I caught his eye. He saw me. There was a lot of press around him, just because obviously he's a new head coach. Everybody wanted to get the scoop, so it was so weird he was sitting there talking about the Arizona Cardinals, and which is kind of a rival of same division as far as like NFC. So it was weird. It was very strange that I was sitting there watching Mike LaFleur like talk not about the Rams and talk about the Cardinals. But it was good to see him, and good to see. Congratulations to him as well. And then after that, I went to the Women of the Combine Happy Hour, which. That event has been going on for 7 years. I'm getting the women events confused here. It was really great. There was actually 3 of them as far as the women events going on. And it was great just to like sit there and, be with all the women who were there at the Combine. And there was a lot, to be honest. And it was great to just network. The Women of Combine Happy Hour was at Tower. I think it was like something Tower. I don't know. It was a bar. It was super it was great. And it was kind of like a mentor mentee session. So I had a mentor, her name was Alana. She was amazing. And she was from ESPN, from the Bills, and kind of, we talked about how I can even further, obviously love the Blonde Blitz, love working with the Rams, love working with Sports Illustrated, but I can always do more, and I'm always learning. And I definitely wanted to learn, from these ladies as well. And, got to catch up. I haven't seen my friend Kate Carpenter from the NFL Bible. She was there. It was great to see her. Jordan Rodriguez, the senior writer of The Athletic, also at the Rams.
Nice.
She was great. I saw her there. We're so excited. Cynthia Freeland was there. Said hi to her. It was just a woman empowerment evening, and everyone had a blast with that. And then Brian showed up.
Finally, I finally made it.
Yes. So let's move on to Wednesday. Those days were the LB and the DL interviews. Todd, anything stick out in your mind there?
Yeah, I thought it was an original enough question to ask. What is a highlight that stuck out from your year, or your college career, and did you envision one of those highlights making your reel if you get drafted? And could you unpack those plays for us? Turns out a lot of people were asking that question, so I was not that original. But there was a defensive tackle from, I believe, Mississippi or Mississippi State. No, obviously it wouldn't be Mississippi because Jackson Dart went there. He sacked Jackson Dart, and I asked him about that play, and he had a very mischievous look in his face when he was recounting the play, and he wrote, I sacked Jackson Dart. He goes, LOL. He was on the sideline crying. He really, you could tell that sack meant a lot to him. And I know this because there was a young man that I used to mentor who ended up being a getting picked up by the Bills from his draft class, and he sacked Patrick Mahomes when Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech. So I know that it was one of those moments of he and I gave a hand pat at the end, and I don't know, there's just a cool connection, remembering one of your fondest plays. So that stood out. And then just watching these guys just talk about how intense they are about their positions. Mm-hmm. You felt that energy, and it just made me feel like I was just in football again. I don't know. When football's in your blood, it's just in your blood. And I guess I'm a football player now too. Why not?
Exactly. You kind of feel like you are, to be honest.
I did. I really did.
Passion that these guys have. I mean, they're living their dream. They're about to, they're there, draft is next. So, they want to say whatever they can to impress whoever, to get to that next level. And I don't know, it's my favorite event just because I love to see dreams come true,
I couldn't agree with you more.
Brian, what did you did some of the LBNL DL interviews too, right?
Yes. First off, I want to say, watching Todd run around the media room and stuff and trying to keep tabs on him, I felt like Deb and I were two parents, watching their child just go nuts at a festival or something. We couldn't keep tabs on him all weekend. I mean, he was just all over the place. Just goes to show you the level of excitement he had while he was there. And it showed through, and I loved seeing it. I've been in this orbit of sports throughout my entire career, kind of just never really quite in the mix, but kind of always hovering around the perimeter or the orbit, And so it was cool to see the media side of stuff, because I was there last year with Deb on a separate kind of thing and didn't have the media access.
Sports Management Worldwide, which we'll talk
Correct.
a little bit about later, but yeah.
Right. So it was really cool for me to kind of get the media side of view, point of view from that angle. And so, yeah, we touched, I helped Deb kind of get some questions with some of the offensive linemen or defensive linemen and the linebackers and stuff. I didn't have anyone specific at that stage that I had wanted to question, although some guys were volunteering some injury information, which I found kind of shocking, I guess is the word, because for me, the injury guy, that's the last thing you want to see is guys voluntarily sharing injury information. Now, if they're coming off an injury.
I had to say, I loved when a guy would talk about, one of the prospects would talk about an injury, and you'd run over and start recording.
Yeah, I had radar. My ears were like radar dishes for that. I mean, if they mentioned anything and I was in an earshot, I was going to hear it and I was going to go hone in on it and get some info. So I think that happened once while we were there with the linemen and the tight ends, actually one of the tight ends. And I have a highlight reel of the whole combine experience that I'm putting together for my episode. I'm hoping to release that here in the next few days. So you'll see some behind the scenes stuff there. But great experience being behind the scenes, and we'll talk a little bit about more as we go. But nobody specific I questioned the D-line linebacker positions. I had some more guys later that I did question.
And then I actually went to the WISE Women's Brunch that day as well. So WISE is Women in Sports and in Events. It's a national women's sports I want to say league. Now I'm playing football too. But it's an organization, and they, Indy hosted it. It was great. There was 300 women there. I walked into a ballroom. It was full of tables. It was amazing. Cynthia Freeland, she hosted. She did a great job. And they had a panel from one of the women works for the Colts. The communications director who we worked with, Todd and I worked with for the other women's event. She was on the panel, and just amazing women in sports. So it was great to be there and be a part and to network. And I made some new friends. So that was really fun too.
I was blown away. I did not know. Look, I'm a Hard Knocks junkie. So my sort of knowledge of women in sports is limited to some assistant coaches that I saw on there, and also some and referees and like that, and then obviously the Ursay sisters. But I did not know just how much the NFL has invested in women in sports, and it was pretty cool to witness. And obviously, when Rappaport said that the Bill Belichick had essentially opened up the doors as much as he could to having a female assistant, I thought that was spectacular. And anyway, it changed my perspective, and I thought that was great.
Yeah, I wish you guys could have seen the Wise event, because I was blown away with how many people were there. I was like, wow, there's a lot of women here. So it was just fabulous to see. And then I ran into some of some of the agents that I'm friends with there too. Like they were waiting for people. So I was like, hi guys. That's the one thing I love about the Combine is everybody is there, and you just run into old friends and agents and people you haven't seen, and you're actually able to take a little time and talk with them, because Super Bowl is so crazy. You just don't have time. You're always interviewing. But I felt like a Combine, everyone kind of meets at that Starbucks and kind of can take a second to say hi and catch up. And that's why I love, going to Combine as well.
I found it to be more football forward than even the Super Bowl. And I thought to that point, the Super Bowl was like the mecca of football. But then I was like, oh wait, the Combine is even way more than that.
Yeah.
It's like football concentrate. Whereas like the Super Bowl is like, you put other fruits and beverages and ice in it, and then you have this like delicious cocktail. Whereas the Combine is like the most hyper concentrated football in the frozen can when you're poor growing up.
Well, I think because with the Super Bowl, it's just really two teams. And then some of the players fly in, they do get tickets, they do interviews, they have media availability, at Media Row, at Radio Row. But here you have all of the agents, because all of them have the new prospects, and you have all of the coaches because they're scouting. And so it's a mecca, and everyone's chill and cool and approachable. It's just such a great time. So let's go with Thursday. That was the DB and the tight end interviews. Anyone stick out for you guys there?
So I didn't talk about, because I forgot that the D linemen and linebackers on the same day.
Yep.
Which one of the Styles brothers was the linebacker? Was it
the linebacker?
Cameron?
Yeah. So because
I forget which of the Styles.
Lorenzo is a CB.
Okay, so his brother, the linebacker, that's the guy who I spoke with.
Yep.
And actually, gosh darn it, I'm forgetting, because wide receiver to linebacker.
You spoke with Lorenzo.
There's a cornerback.
He's a CB. Yeah, he's
great.
The one that killed the 40. He got a 4.27.
So it's probable that he'll be a first round draft pick, and sorry, but I did not have a lot of time to look up everybody in advance. And when I saw him, I did a quick Google search, and I found out that he was a wide receiver first.
Yep.
And I am a world-renowned wide receiver hater. I will never like these people. These are not. I don't believe they're the football players. That's my opinion. I do not represent the Blonde Blitz in that respect. But I was curious to know how he made the switch, because that's not just a position switch. That's a mentality switch. You're going from the light side to the dark side. You're going to the, this is an entire, we are pirates. We want war. They don't want war. And so I was like, what was the mentality shift to take you from a wide receiver to a DB? And his answer was the most pure football answer I've ever heard in my life. I felt so seen. I felt so understood. He goes, I grew up in a defensive household. I go, defensive, like that statement alone made me realize his entire upbringing from the roots was pain, misery, and destruction upon another person. And I was like, I get it. That checks out.
Over.
One sentence. You didn't have to say anything else. But his dad played linebacker growing up, and I think he may even played in the league or at a big college. So to say that you grew up in a defensive household means that your dad indoctrinated you at a very young age that hitting people is the way to live your life. And I was like, oh, it oddly felt like I was given like a Valentine's Day card that says like, I love you and I get you.
And Brian, actually did the on-field drills together that day. Todd, you joined us a little bit later. Do you want to tell the funny story that happened with us with that?
I actually had it queued up for you too. Well, so
let's do it.
Yeah. So let's talk about first because it'll make sense when we show the video.
Yeah.
But so Deb and I somehow ended up not just in the media section during the on-field drills, but we also somehow ended up right sitting with all the scouts. And unbeknownst to us, they must visually see the entire 40-yard dash because they're all using stopwatches to time it. I guess they don't trust the advanced laser technology that they have. So one of the gentlemen kindly asked us to move out of their line of sight.
We were there for a while. We were there for at least.
For a while. But they hadn't yet started. I think that was the first player that was going.
Right. We missed the 40s. We missed the first round of 40s.
Correct.
So it was the second round.
So
and
it
they were
was the linebackers that were about to go, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how we ended up there, but the security was like, "Hey, go ahead," and we're like, "Okay." So
we were in an area that we didn't belong to begin with, and then
Right.
we were sitting in seats that we didn't belong as far as the scouts were concerned because we were blocking their field of view.
Right. But at least we didn't get in trouble. And when we found out we were in the wrong spot, we left quickly. But someone else did not, apparently. And we have that. So thank God this was not us, but it was somebody else.
It was. And I have it here. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear the audio.
Can you hear it? I don't think we can hear it.
Get out of their way. They're working. Move over. Move over. Get out of their way. That seat was good where you're at. Let's go. Sorry about that.
Uh-oh.
So that was it.
And I actually remember that happening.
Wait, they were talking to you guys?
No,
thank
it
goodness
wasn't
they
us.
were not.
That was so Todd, do you remember? Because I was sitting next to you when we're like, "What is going on?" And you're like, "Oh, that guy's calling somebody." So that was not us. We were there the day before.
Yeah.
And I remember when that happened on the field, and I was like, "Oh God, thank God that wasn't us."
Well, the only reason I became aware of it after the fact was because not only did that come across my Instagram feed, but then I saw some verbal battles going back and forth about the accuracy of the 40 times for the wide receivers and running backs, because some people were commenting and shooting messages back and forth about what the laser read versus what their actual stopwatch read, and they were all comparing notes, and I'm like, and people were just kind of like, this is ridiculous. Like, the laser is the laser. It's more accurate than anybody can press a clock. So it was just kind of funny and amusing to hear how the scouts get very sensitive about that stuff. This is their bread and butter. This is their baby. The combine is their thing. For those of you that don't know, and I've mentioned this several times, the combine is not run by the NFL. It's run by the scouting organizations. The NFL is just there to kind of oversee things and, represent the league. But the scouting people are the ones in charge. And that gentleman that you saw in the video was like a 39-year scout for the Pittsburgh Steelers or something. And this was the first time he's ever been asked to time and start 40. So he was taking his job very seriously.
He was very serious, as he should be. I mean, as he absolutely should be.
Now, in fairness, he was faulting people, and I could not get my head around the faults. I'm going like, this is not the Olympic trials here. Yeah. But then again, I don't know how the lasers work, and maybe you need the 3-second buffer, but oh my gosh, that was like...
He was not, he didn't pocket that whistle. He used it.
No, often.
Yeah. Yes. Well, the two athletes that stood out for me that day was David Bailey, an edge out of Texas Tech. He was rated first production score of a 98 and then second total score of an edge it was 84. And then Zane Durant, so out of Penn State, which you guys remember, I was like, go Penn State. He was first in DT in athleticism. Yeah. So that was that day. And then Brian, you and I went to the Sports Management Worldwide happy hour and the Vanguard party that evening. That was fun. The happy hour was great to see students of sports. Had a lot of people coming up to me, talking, kind of mentoring them about how to get into sports. And then the Vanguard party was all agents, so that was fun.
That was good for me on another side, to be able to meet people, just network and stuff, and give some information around to help a project that I'm working on the side here. But the SMWW one was also pretty cool. We got to meet Baldy.
That's great.
I think I offended him. I'm like, you should do injury breakdowns. And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, I thought I'd ask. I'll stop.
Baldy was great. And Todd, you saw You saw him on Saturday, right?
Yep. That guy. I mean, that guy exudes. I don't know why he hasn't been deputized as like the second John Madden, because
He
a lot
literally
of it, he just is, and a lot of his tonalities, his breakdowns, the way, just his passion for football, you could tell the guy wants to do nothing else. He's constantly breaking down footage. I love the guy. I think he needs to be way more famous than he is.
And he was sitting
and he is famous. He's got like 1.5 million followers from his breakdowns alone.
Yeah, no, he's so talented. And he was sitting with the rest of the media. Like, he was there among us. Like, we were just all talking with him and getting his insight on what he thought with all the different prospects. And it was really cool to hear his take on stuff as well.
He was hanging out at the SMWW. It was like shooting the breeze with everybody.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Insatiable appetite for football. I'm very curious to see, man, after I have to go back and look who has the draft order for first round. I don't know who. Obviously, there's a big void at safety for Minnesota Vikings. I'm curious if they're going to go with a guy like Dylan Thieneman, who had a great run. I think he's going to be like, I watched Oregon in person play against Indiana. And, you think to yourself, there's going to be a direct correlation between these fast times and production on the field. And that's not always the case. Like, I've personally played against guys that have run in the low 4.4s and even the high 4.3s. And you can, and that doesn't always, it's such a misnomer to think that that's the guy, that's the first fastest scorer, that's the first round. Not how it works, because if someone's testing speed is different than their playing speed, then the scouts see that on film. Or if someone's really strong but they're not really quick, as an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, that's not going to translate in the trenches. So it's like, I'm very curious to see, what a guy like Dylan Thieneman does from a production standpoint if he goes to the Vikings, because they have a big gap to fill with the previous guy that retired. He had like 18-year career. I really want to look back on the draft order and the performers and kind of see, try to make sense of it from that perspective, having watched it in person.
Awesome. Let's move on to Friday. We had the wide receivers, the quarterbacks, and the running back interviews. Did anything stick out? Any of the prospects to you guys interviewing?
Hold on. Do you hear that? That's breaking news. So
what's breaking news?
Todd mentioned safety position, and a big story came out of the combine. If you guys didn't see that, Caleb Downs of Ohio State, apparently during his medical portion, was found to have a partial meniscal tear and a degenerative ACL. Which, if that's true, that's a big red flag for longevity in the league. So some people will try to minimize it, just saying that, this guy's skill is just so good. He played all year. He didn't miss any time due to injury. It's not a big deal. They're overthinking it. But when I hear that, that tells me red flag. And so one of the reasons I was at the combine was to gather this type of juice. And so this happened after we left.
You gathered it too.
I gathered it, but this has happened after we left. It came out, but this was the kind of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that nobody gets to see. And I was there trying to look through the weeds and pick through the weeds and trying to get some information. So I was amped up to hear that, unfortunately for him, but I just wanted to throw that in there before we moved on to Friday.
I don't love stuff like that, because, okay, so if he's got this bad knee, why is he such a high producer at the combine? Why did he do so great in Ohio State? I think we're over assuming that the longevity of an NFL player is longer than 3 years, and on average, it's not. Yeah. So, okay, you might not invest so much in guaranteed money. You might not sign in for 5 years, whatever. But someone's rookie deal, depending on how good they play, might only be a 2-year deal. Might even, they can play and renegotiate after 3 years, depending on how good they are. I don't know. That kind of stuff is I also just hate injuries. I don't think anyone on this call, is a fan of the fact that someone has the heart and passion and body, and then one part of their body is, tells them they can't do it. It's really unfortunate.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to gloritize it or whatever you want to call it, but
for sure, I know.
Being that this is what I do, this is so, and this goes back to when I was there, Deb. You heard me. I was trying to be really careful with the questions I was asking. I didn't want to pull out information from these guys that I knew were coming off injuries or that I know had a history, and have them say something that would have come back to bite them later. So I was really careful with the questions I was asking, knowing that. And yet I had reporters next to me basically doing the dirty work for me. And luckily, like, nobody really said anything too bad that would kind of get them in trouble when it came to their injuries or
something
body.
that wasn't already known.
Correct. And so I was at least happy to hear that. But the reason I also bring up this report was because this highlights the sensitivity and things can spiral out of control, similar to like when John Harbaugh was seen at the women's conference. You have to be careful with the stuff that you're putting out there.
And there were a few tweets that were like, there were a few tweets out there that were just not correct. You were standing next to the one guy, and then you were like, "Why would you say that?" Because that's not what the prospect said. You know,
right. A lot of people were giving Jermon McCoy, the cornerback from Tennessee, a hard time about the fact that he wasn't performing at the combine, and asking him if he was cleared and why wasn't he participating. And it was purely because he just didn't feel ready. He had been medically cleared weeks ago and was waiting for his pro day. And the way you would read some of the posts didn't sound like that. It kind of made a spin that like he wasn't physically ready. And that was the furthest thing from the truth. It's more about mental for him. He was like, I just don't feel ready yet. I don't feel like I'm there. I'm going to wait till my pro day. And there's nothing wrong with that at the stage he was in his recovery. And so that's another thing that, thanks for pointing that out, Deb, because that was huge too. That, that way it got reported and put out there in the media, especially social media, you would think otherwise, and that's just not the case.
Yep.
Well, it also makes perfect sense given the frenzy. I think that I've kind of can get my head around the appetite for football in this country, but I don't think we even estimate just how rabid we all are about football in this country when you give the fact that, I mean, there were 1,600 reporters for the combine. No other sport in this country could, so to Brian's point, any little story is going to go nuts in a tornado just by nature of like, this is what we all like football that much to where one injury from one person or one story popping out of somebody's camp is going to just spiral.
Yeah. Well, and also on the on-field drills, we saw the DBs and the tight ends, and history was made with Lorenzo Styles out of Ohio State. He ran that 4.27 40. It was great. Actually, Todd and I had just stepped out, and I was in the middle of doing a stand-up, and we saw it happening, and we ran back in to get it and to see it for his second run. So actually, we actually have a clip of it. Go ahead. Hey guys, Deb WHITCAS with the Blonde Blitz, and we just witnessed history here at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. Yesterday, during on-field drills, all eyes were on DB Lorenzo Styles out of Ohio State, and he absolutely delivered. He blazed through the 40 with a 4.27, one of the fastest times we've seen at the Combine in recent years. And it wasn't just the time, it was the way he ran it. Clean start, explosive first 10 yards, smooth top end speed. You could literally feel the buzz ripple through the building as soon as he crossed that finish line. What an exciting time. Today, we will see if the offensive prospects can keep up that excitement. It's about to start. Today, we'll see what the wide receivers, running backs, and QBs got on the field. Let's go. Yeah, I was excited to witness that moment.
I was getting live tweeted from one of my friends who was watching every 40 on the NFL Network. He's like, "Did you just see that?" And I was like, "Sure didn't." I'm in the hallway, so Deb and I bolted back into the field.
I was like, "Of course, the one time I walk out, like the one time. At least we weren't like getting food or something, because that would have been really bad."
I had to leave that day. I unfortunately didn't catch it, but I caught him last year, and it's definitely one of the more exciting days at the Combine because you got the wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks all out there together, and it's when they let a lot of the fans have access more so than usual. Yeah. I feel like they open up another deck, another level.
Yeah, and that was Saturday. Moving on to Saturday, we had the O-line interviews. Big guys. They were there, and then the on-field drills were the running backs, the wide receivers, and the QBs. So that was some fun to watch. It's the oohs and the ahs, and the crowd is excited to be there. Todd, what and did anyone stick out on the field for you for that day?
So I did not get the chance to watch a lot of the wide receivers because I had to fly back.
Right.
But my O-line interviews that morning, I have always had an affinity for the O-line. I've always believed that they are wildly underrated, wildly undervalued, wildly underhyped. It's the nature of what they do. Sadly, the game of football itself is won and lost to the trenches. Anybody knows that. And I was I got a new sense of appreciation for these guys. They genuinely don't care about any other thing than doing their job. Mm-hmm. And that is so remarkable to me, given the fact that their job is to block a 300 and something pound rhinoceros with the helmet on every play.
Yep. And
sometimes they have to block 2 of them. And sometimes they have to chip 1 and block 2, and then also scrape up to the second level and then get the linebacker if it's a screen or some type of, hitch pass or something like that. And I don't get how they just don't care about accolades. They're happy enough to move the guy around in front of them, and that's what brings them joy. I was asking them about the fact that wide receivers and running backs don't get a lot of credit wide receivers and running backs do a lot to celebrate without the offensive line, and what do they feel about that? And they basically were all collectively shrugging it off. They're like, sometimes it's a long bomb and we just don't want to run down there. Like, I heard that answer several times. And then one guy goes, and then sometimes if they're close and they dance with each other or they come and celebrate with us, it's like, either way we scored, right? Like, they just were completely, and I was like, wow, this beef has been in my head alone. They don't care. They're just happy to get the job done. And I just had a whole new appreciation for offensive line that I already thought that I valued that position group, but I was like, I want to give all of them Christmas gifts, every one of them, all of them.
Well, and you guys know I love my quarterbacks, right? So I had to stay through the wide receivers and the quarterbacks just to see what we had there. I have to say I was really impressed with Brennan Thompson, the wide receiver. He recorded the fastest 40 of the entire combine. That was a 4.26. So he was a little bit 1 second faster than Styles. And then, at quarterback, Taylon Green really impressed me. I wrote some notes here. You guys, you get these sheets, right? And I was like writing notes about Taylon. He ran the second fastest ever for a quarterback.
Wow.
I believe Mac Jones did a 4. They were comparing him to Mac Jones, who did a 4.3. And then he set a position record with a 4.35 in the vertical and then 11.2 in the broad jump. So he killed the combine.
Amazing. Were you there to watch them all throw also?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. And you know what? It was funny. Carson Beck, everybody booed Carson Beck. Like,
why?
The crowd hated him. Obviously, they loved Fernando Mendoza.
Was he throwing?
No. I didn't actually see him throw because I had to go, but I don't believe he did. I don't think he did. But just he was there. He walked on. The crowd went crazy. That it was interesting to me. And the last quarterback that I liked, let me find him here, Joe Fagiano. He's expected to go like a 3rd round, maybe 4th round, but I liked him. And there was a couple of the media around me. We were like, he impressed us, to be honest. So we'll see. I think he's going to go a little bit up, before the 3rd, but what do I know, right?
You know what? It's not just what do you know? What does any general manager know about quarterbacks on the draft class? They all think they know, and it's just the luck of the draw. I think it really is.
Yeah, I liked Drew Aller too. He was out of Penn State as well. I liked the way he threw. So yeah, it was great. So almost done, guys. What? Let's talk about one thing that impressed us the most, or like the favorite part of the week.
For me, it was the intensity of the athletes at the podium answering questions. These are not robots. They are not athletes. They're humans who are deeply ingrained into football. This is what they do. This is partly who they are. This is everything they've ever wanted in life. And it made me like the reality of this is not just a job interview. This is like the culmination of everything they worked for in life. Mm-hmm. And for them, I think the cool thing that I gathered was that it's not a dream for them. Like, think about, if I want to be an accountant at like the highest accounting firm, I have to get an accounting degree. I have to get maybe a master's in accounting, and then I can get that job. And I think a lot of them treated it like, this is not a dream. This is what I do. This is my job. I am here for this. Like, when the reporter was asking one of the Styles brothers how they felt about their performance, you know, she was dazzled because they were flashy numbers, but he wasn't, because he's built for this. So this is like, he's ready to test for this. Like, this is just what he does. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is a very interesting perspective on this idea that this is a dream scenario. And it's like, no, I'm ready for this. Like, I've fortified. I don't know. It was amazing to be that in close proximity with all these very serious athletes.
Brian, what did you like?
I mean, it wasn't really any one thing in particular. I think it was just the entire event and just the whole atmosphere around it. You know, I spent the majority of my career working on the player side of stuff. I've been in the locker room as an athletic trainer, in the training room, taking care of athletes, on the benches, on the sidelines. I'm a player-first guy. I mean, I've always gravitated toward players. It's where I built my career. So being on the media side of stuff, and it kind of brought me back to that moment where you see these guys, they haven't yet gone pro. They haven't signed that big contract. They're 21, 22 years old, you know, standing in front of a podium of these people with cameras in their face and lights and microphones. You see that raw human side that we tend to forget very easily because these guys get put on such high pedestals at such a young age. And for me, it was just seeing the raw emotion. You can see the pride that they had in their answers. They were trying, you can see the nervous tension in some of them. You could feel it, you know? And for me, that was kind of cool. Yeah, it's a huge moment, moment. And, you know, nothing is guaranteed.
They're in front of they're in front of like legit reporters.
Right. These are people that could potentially make or break their career based on what they do on the field and off. And I think they don't lose sight of that. They feel that pressure. And, you know, not only that, I mean, nothing is guaranteed either. I mean, just the fact that they're invited there is a huge milestone and stepping stone, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee that they're going to get drafted. And even if they do get drafted, there's no guarantee that they're going to sign a huge contract or be a starter in this league. And even if they do, nothing's guaranteed past year one. So, like, I think they feel all the weight of that coming down on them for these few days here in Indy. And for me, being on this side, on the media side, thanks to you, Deb, as well, for being able to invite me and help you, and hopefully I did.
Absolutely.
But it was a unique experience for me. It's not something I've ever had the pleasure of doing in my career. I'm usually on the other side of the fence, so it's a whole other perspective that I really enjoyed, actually.
Well, and I had to say, Brian, you did a great job being media as well. And
I was on my best behavior.
Yeah, we did an interview together with Dragon Seats. They do the benches for the NFL players, and I wanted to play that now before we said bye. Hey guys, it's Deb from the Blonde Blitz.
And Brian Scott from the Injured List podcast.
We have got Pierce McDonald here. He is from Dragon Seats. These are the seats and the benches that the NFL players use on the field. We have one here. We're going to take a look at it.
From a health standpoint, this is huge because these things keep the players cool in the summer when it's 90 plus degrees out, like in Miami, and it keeps them warm in the winter when you're in Cleveland playing in those cold, frozen tundra like Green Bay as well.
My name is Pierce McDonald. I am the service manager for our Cleveland branch here.
Are you guys the only company that does the benches?
Yes, so far, yes. Out of 20 clubs, out of the 32 we do, as far as the NFL.
And what makes your benches special?
Air can blow out of the necks here, right here. Air blows out of there, air blows out of here. The foot deck, they're very, very comfortable.
And that would be hot air, right? Cold air too, I guess, because the season's so long.
Like he said, depending on the location of wherever these guys are playing, they use the system for it. And then we have one of our new other design models, our shaders, and this is to help block out, sunlight, rain, also visibility, just for the players and the coaches so they could be more focused on telling plays, getting the players together.
This is for the helmets?
Yes, so up here is for the helmets. The players could put their helmets up here when they come back. Sometimes you may catch them putting their helmet there during code games.
Some of these features are fairly new. How many iterations have this bench been through?
I think we're on Gen 3 or 4 right now of the bench, but it changed over time. We love to get feedback from our customers, the teams, the coaches, and the equipment managers mainly, how to innovate it. So we innovated this new product from Kaniko Hines, who's with the Baltimore Ravens, because he got feedback from his players of they like the air to blow by their necks, especially when it's hot because they have shoulder pads on and, heat rises. That's to keep their body temperature down. The perforated hose here, air blows up there that way, so it's able to keep their hamstrings, glutes cool or heated so they don't catch cramps or, get any stingers of that nature. So our products over here is the heaters. And we have one of our helmet hot boxes here. Just put it up here.
Put the helmet in.
And it's either heated or cool. It's really for cold game.
Buffalo, Minnesota.
It's a fiberglass shell. We talked about that yesterday too, similar to how you make fiberglass bumpers on the car.
Yes.
And you guys do it all in-house in your factory in Ohio.
Yes, we do. This is our off season, so this is most of the time where we do a lot of the manufacturing work. So probably about the summertime is when we'll get new stuff in. We'll refurb a lot of the products. A lot of the stuff come back to our facility. We'll revamp it if they want updates and stuff like that of that nature. But we'll give them new stuff by then before the start of the season, because a lot of the season for college and the NFL starts, August?
What have some of the players said about the product?
Really coaches. I also heard players say, man, this feel good. But we also heard things of hey, turn it down, it's too hot, which is great because, this thing is working. Miles Garrett is one guy that I believe he loves it. Quarterbacks love the benches.
They really have to keep warm.
They're very important. Their helmets are the main ones that go in here because they have
the
controls. Yeah.
Yep. For any players watching, it's Dragon Seats.
Right.
You customize them however they want.
Yep. Yeah, we work with the teams and they tell us what they want on the benches, and then we provide that logo, whatever they want on the bench.
The worst thing for an athlete to do is go out there on the field, in a frozen field, and come back to the sideline, not be able to warm up while they're sitting out sometimes multiple plays, depending on how long the offense or defensive series is going on. So this has become a game changer for making players feel comfortable, staying warm, keeping the blood circulating, especially on those cold days.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the heat, you worry about heat-related medical issues that can arise, like heat exhaustion, heat stroke. And this does a great job of helping prevent that as well. It gives them a shaded area to sit, a cooling area to sit.
One thing I would like to add, we are working with University Hospitals, Cleveland, Ohio, doing research on our products and how the body temperature and how the core temperature reflects and helps with injuries, as you said. So we're working with them and doing a lot of research and getting numbers through so we can feed that to the NFL, and that can help out.
Look at those analytics. Thank you so much to you, to Dragon Seats, and we'll see you on the field. All right, guys. Brian, Todd, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Hold on, did we get a discount on Dragon Seats for my living room? I want one of those. I'll sleep on one of those tonight.
Right? I was like, this would be nice on the beach. Right?
I need a smaller size. You can see my feet were just not even near the floor there. It made me feel so short.
You want to make a statement? Drag one of those out to the beach and just sit there.
Exactly. So funny. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for going to Indy with me as well.
Don't thank us. We're supposed to thank you. I mean, are you kidding me?
Thank you, Deb, for taking us along.
No, of course. It was so much fun. Anyone watching, thank you for tuning into our Combine show. We'll be doing a draft show in April as well. Hopefully we'll be there. We'll know soon. And we'll see you then.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Blonde Blitz.